Hey. Welcome everyone to this month's edition of Westside Meetup, hosted by WNN Properties. It is 3 minutes after the hour, and we know time is your greatest asset. So we just want to honor everybody's time and get our meetup started here. If this is your first time, or it's been a while, or we haven't had a chance to connect, my name is Brandon Rabe. I'm a full-time investor in residential real estate. I'm also a coach and mentor with WNN Properties, and also the co-host of this virtual meetup, along with an in-person meetup that should be starting up soon. So be on the lookout for that. But anyway, tonight we have a special guest. We're going to have a great conversation with an experienced investor. And before I get to bring him on, I did want to go over a couple of housekeeping items. So number one, just to let you know, this call will be recorded and posted online if you wanted to watch it again, or if you wanted to I lost my train of thought. But anyway, it's going to be recorded and posted online, so you can share it with a friend, or go back to hear whatever our guest has to share. Number two, please keep your microphones on mute. That way we can just minimize distractions for our speaker along with everybody else here on the call. Number three, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to post them in the chat or save them till the end when we do Q&A, and more than welcome to hop off, ask your questions. And lastly, we put this meetup on every month, or almost every month. We don't do it in December, but we put this meetup at the end of each month on Wednesdays at no monetary cost to you folks. And all we ask is that if you guys get value from this call, if our guest makes you laugh or shifts your perspective or anything at all that helped you move forward in real estate, we just want to ask that you take a screenshot or invite a friend, basically help us grow the community, because we want to be able to share this with folks outside of just Hawaii but beyond. In fact, our guest isn't even on Oahu. So we just want to grow the community. As far as upcoming events goes, I did want to make you folks aware of a networking event happening on Oahu next week, Tuesday. It is the Blue Collar event, and I'm going to post the link to that in the chat. That way you guys can register if you guys did want to attend. That's going to be next week, Tuesday, I believe 5 p.m. And then also next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday evening, WNN is holding a boot camp for out-of-state investing. So if you're brand new and you're wanting to get started, you just can't figure out where to start, and you need that tactical information, the boot camp is a great place to start. So there's links in the chat for that. You can go ahead and get more information there. Also, how many people do we have here? We got 27 people tonight so far, and we're just getting started. So chances are you're not going to be able to connect with each person on the call tonight, even though we are going to be going out into breakout rooms later on to network. I will post a link in the chat for our roster. And on that roster, you can go ahead and share your contact information, whatever you feel like sharing, and then also what you're good at and what you need support in. That way we can share it with everybody else who fills out that roster, and you guys can connect and network and do some type of collaboration. So go ahead and check out those links in the chat. Oh, and I also forgot to share with you folks how to stay connected with us. So if you're not already in our Facebook group or not already on our email list, you can go ahead and join our Facebook group or hop onto our email list by sending us a really quick email about your name. You'll have your email already in there, but just basically send us a short email to that email address. That way we can add you onto our list. Okay. All right. That was a lot. So now let's shift gears here, and I want to introduce our guest. So he's not a stranger to Westside Meetup. In fact, you may have probably seen him if you've been on for the last couple calls and has seen his face on the flyer, because he is one of the co-hosts of Westside Meetup. And in case you haven't yet, and this is your first time, well, you're in for a treat, because this guy, he's an experienced investor. I'm grateful that I get to have, I get to be in his space on a regular basis, and he just adds a lot of value to me and my investing journey. So I'm confident that the things that he's going to talk about tonight will add value to your folks' investing journey. So if you can join me in giving him a warm Westside Meetup welcome. He is the fun, very wise, very witty, the one and only Cedric Caagbay. So Cedric, welcome to the call.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I'll give you
You like
$5
that?
later. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's almost as if you rehearsed. Oh, my goodness.
Maybe a little
But
bit.
thank you very much. You are too kind. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of story about how I stepped in poo multiple times. Basically, I like talking about real estate. You guys have made the decision to give me the mic, so that means I'm going to talk. So prepare yourselves, and by all means, throw your questions in there. Gilbert, Shauna, Brandon, stop me anytime if you think I'm going way too far off track, or if there's a question that you think would be beneficial to stop and hit right then and there. But otherwise, I do want you to recognize today that there are multiple potential peaks and valleys in any journey, in any real estate journey, especially in this one little case study about one deal. I want you to be able to identify standard solutions as well as outside the box thinking solutions, and recognize how much you're going to oscillate in this journey, and then recognize that the learning and growth that can take place simply by taking action. So by all means, if you guys hear any terms, any words, or anything that if it sounds funny, I haven't heard of or whatnot, please stop me, or put it into the box there and ask that question, and participate. So if we can, let's go to the deal, Brandon. Let's show them what I did. The next screen is 4441 Northeast Kelsey Road. So I joined the group. I joined WNN, and that was not a quick and easy decision. I interviewed a few people. I had to come up with my own decision, my own plan, and I finally decided to join. And I said, I'm going to drink the punch. Whatever comes my way, I'm going to get baptized. I'm going to jump on the spaceship. Whatever they say we're going to do, we're going to do. And this deal came across my desk from the community, from the WNN community. So big peak. I was like, oh boy, I could do this. I could join the group and I could make this big decision. I could run my numbers. And the message to me was, this is an off-market lead, and you have 1 week to bring your offers to me. Otherwise, it goes to the market. So they're creating a sense of urgency. So from that high of, oh, I got my first deal, it's for me, start a little bit of a valley, going down the rabbit hole. I'm like, can I trust this community? Can I trust this deal? I start doubting my numbers. Is it going to be good or bad? Did I vet CJ and WNN correctly? Are there ulterior motives? Are they just going to sell me a deal, give me a good deal, but then get me in the back end with a GC, with a huge rehab project? I was fighting my demons. Fear and anxiety will always err on the side of caution, on the side of inactivity. It's all in your brain, though. So real quick exercise. The goals that you want to achieve right now, you're only this far apart. So I see some faces on there. Can you put your index fingers? You are this far from your goal. Put your index fingers up, and then the distance between you and your solution is right here. Touch your temples or your forehead. It's right here. Literally, it's right there. That's how close you are to accomplishing these things. It's all in your mind, and that's what I had to fight with. The doubt was creeping in. Can I do it? Should I do it? All the reasons why I should not were there. They're very easy to find. As you know, when you talk to your friends, your families, oh, I joined this group, I'm looking into real estate, they're going to tell you all the reasons why you should not. But does quitting serve my bigger picture? Does sitting on the sidelines move the needle? Is this in alignment with my 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10-year goals? So if you know the book, which I'm going to put it in the chat box, but there was a book that said the Olympic team, the English rowing team, they never got medaled, but they were trying to change it this 1 year. And they said, we're going to ask one question for every decision we're going to make. Does it make the boat go faster? Should I go out and eat this donut? Does it make the boat go faster? Then don't do it. Should I eat the salad? Does it make the boat go faster? Then do it. Same thing with your real estate journey. Ask yourself the question, does it make me get closer to my goals? Then maybe it's a yes. Does it not? Then maybe it's a no. But if you're not sure, the one thing I want to encourage you to do is make mistakes of ambition, not sloth. Because what is the possibility that it might go right, that everything might go well? Because fear and anxiety is real and alive. If you look at this house, look at the picture, it's a pretty small house. It's a 2-1, only 768 square feet, but the listing does not take into account that the basement has already been done. So it's double the square feet. So in that of itself, the rehab shouldn't be that bad, but in my mind, it felt like a stretch. But you know, as we all know, growth happens in the comfort zone. No, it comes in the discomfort zone. So I had to make some calls, had to talk to some of the other advisors, some coaches, and talk me off the edge. And we made that offer of 140. So next slide, please, Brandon. So luckily, because before I got to this, I had a few things in line already. How am I going to buy this? So I raised 50K in PMLs. That was a big deal for me. That was my green light, my trigger to go for this deal. I had a friend, a grade school friend since second grade. His name is Jesse. He's like, you know what? I've been seeing what you've been doing online. I like what I hear. Let's go ahead and let's dip my foot in the pool. Let's do a 20K private money loan. If you don't know what a PML is, private money loan or private money lender. We make the terms. It's basically a glorified IOU. I said, Jesse, I'll get you 10%. Let me borrow your money for a year. Let me get this project done. Another friend, a friend of a family friend, brother Ray said, I'll drop 20 on you. And his little cousin was there. He says, let's try 10. You know, I'm not a college graduate. I'm working hard on my W-2. I want to see if my money can grow. I'll trust you. So I raised 50K. I was stoked about that. Not quite enough, but I had other options. I had 3 properties that I was going to probably sell or is in the midst of selling. Euclid is a single family home. Linwood at the bottom is a single family home. And then there's a cabin. That's another horror story in and of itself. But I have a cabin in the mountains I bought in a tax auction sale. I also had some cash reserves, and I also had my HELOC. So that was what I was going to do. So I thought I could get this deal going. And running the numbers, buying at 140, rehabbing maybe 35, maybe 60, all in about 175. So I need to be able to pull out that much, or at least pull out enough where I don't leave too much in. So again, the numbers started crunching, the numbers started giving me those highs, those lows. What if I do this? What if I do that? Should I still do this? Should I not? So HELOC is good, but I don't know if you guys work with funds in Hawaii with the federal credit unions there. Oh, they always seems to have problems sending money to me. The cabin sale, again, I did my first owner financing deal. If you don't know what that means, is basically I owned it outright. I bought it at an auction. Say Gilbert wants to buy it from me. He doesn't want to use the bank. I said, I'll be the bank. So Gilbert, you give me a down payment of X, and we're going to do 10%, 6%, whatever we agree on, amortize over 30 years, just like the bank would do, but we'll have a balloon payment due to me in about 3 years. So that gives Gilbert 3 years to get that cabin BRRRR'd or flipped or rehabbed. And then when he sells it, he pays me back in full. So I had so many different stokes in the fire, so many things working, but I needed all the money at the same time to get this deal running. I went to my 1031 exchange specialist, another term for you, qualified intermediary, or a QI. If you're going to do a 1031 exchange, I got to back up again. For those that don't know what a 1031 exchange is, that's if you're going to sell a property and it makes profit, the government wants their piece. They want to tax you on that. But if you do a 1031 exchange, you take all that profit and you buy another property, they won't tax you. That's a great strategy to use to kick the tax can down the road. So I had all these different plays, different ways to put the money into the deal, but they had to work at the same time. It had to work, in sequence. Found out real quickly from my qualified intermediary that because Linwood has a little bit of a mortgage, $25,000, that I have to replace the mortgage as well. A technical thing. 1031 exchanges, you have to sell something and buy something that's worth $1 more. Same thing with a mortgage. If you have $25,000 mortgage, you have to replace that with $25,000 and $1. You have to borrow a little bit more. So there's a lot of different little things that were making this a little bit more complicated. But at least I raised some money. So I was moving from Hawaii to California and having all these troubles with the credit union. I said, you know what, it's time to get a national bank or a national institution. So it's easier to pull money in, ship money out. So I went with Fidelity. So I took all that money, 50K, and I dropped it into that account. And Brandon, if we go to the next slide, Fidelity decided that there was some suspicious activity going on. So they froze my account. I was like, I'm in the middle of a deal. It's time sensitive. I need to close on this. We agreed on a price. why is my account frozen? They said, well, there's some suspicious activity. One, there's a new account opened. Anytime there's a new account open, that could be suspicious. Like, then how do you ever get a new account? What else? Is like, well, you deposit money into the account, a large amount, 50K. It's like, nah, large is just subjective. To a millionaire, that's nothing. But so new account that had money put into it. What do you put into a new account? Of course, you're going to put money into it. Long story short, they froze it. Somebody felt there was a risk there, so they put a binary hold on it, meaning go, no go. I have to meet their requirements to unfreeze the money. They wanted proof that I didn't coerce anybody to put money in there. So the PMLs asked them to write a letter saying, I did not put a gun to their head and force money out of them. I deposited my last paycheck from Hawaii, from one of my hospitals in Hawaii, to here, Waianae Coast Comprehensive. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but they wanted proof that that entity exists. So, you want proof that a hospital exists? I can do that. One of my friends, unfortunately, I buried my mother that year, and one of my friends sent me a check, like a condolence check. I put that in there. They wanted proof from her that I didn't force her to do that as well. It just got ridiculous. And then that cabin that I owner financed to the seller, that deal worked out really good in my favor until he stopped paying. Things got really weird. He accused me of trying to fix the numbers. What is all this interest? I'm like, that's what you agreed upon. It's called interest. Why does the number go up? Because there is interest. He's going to get an attorney and all that jazz. So all the money that was supposed to be coming in was frozen. Or this guy is trying to sue me, saying that I made up some kind of deal that he signed or whatnot. But the lesson here is your funds need to be available and deployable. I had so many different stokes in different directions, stokes in the fire in so many different directions. It all worked, if it worked, but it gets a little confusing. So, Brandon, if we could go to the next one. So sending the funds, Hawaii Central is kind of weird. They don't work with other sister national banks. So at one point, they even wrote me a paper check, a cashier's check that I could walk down to First Hawaiian, and then they could wire the money. There was like hours and days delay. Fidelity finally released the funds, but then they said it would take 3 days to get to me. 3 days. So, okay, I could ask for another extension. I called up another investor friend. I said, hey, Jesse, can you float me a bridge gap loan? Can you send me a bag of cash for 30 days, maybe 60 days, so I could close this deal, and I'll just give you some fat interest for 1 or 2 months. Are you okay with that? And it's like, being the investor that he was, he's like, Cedric, I could do that, but no, don't. Let's not do that. Ask for an extension. So I did, and it worked. She's like, I'll give you another month. Like, that was amazing. That was awesome because it saved me some interest. But my mind wasn't there. My mind was, I need money to close this deal. So I was looking for more money. The problem wasn't that the money was frozen Fidelity. The problem was just that I needed the cash to close. It didn't need to be that 50K. It just needed to be money from wherever I could find it. Things happen again, and the seller is like, I want to close. Where are we at? I was like, oh, what's your rush? I got, because I'm pulling money left and right. She said, well, the place is vacant. The yard is full. I'm trying to get things out, but I don't want to make another mortgage payment because it's empty. I said, oh, that's your need. That's your problem. Let me solve that. Can I make your April mortgage payment? For $783, I got another 30 days. Not the cheapest way to go, but not the most expensive, but I needed to get creative. So I found another 30 days as I pulled my money back and forth. So I ended up postponing this, pushing it from March to April 15th, then April 21st, April 23rd, April 26th. It kind of got ridiculous, but we finally got there. If we could go to the next slide, Brandon. We finally closed, and peak, I got to the top, like, we finally closed. I'm so stoked. 15 minutes after we closed, I got a phone call from the seller. It's like, I'm so sorry, but I just got a phone call, and the fence fell down. The backyard's a third of an acre. It's a decent sized acre. He's like, the whole fence fell down because of the windstorms. I'm like, Valley, we just closed. I was like, but being in my mindset, I said, you know what, forget it. Let's just close. I'll take it as is. She was stoked. I was stoked until like 2 weeks later when I got the quote to replace that fence. 12 grand. I said, good Lord, we should have split that cost. I accepted that, but oh well, c'est la vie, we moved forward. I wrote a check from my HELOC to B of A. It went. It took 3 days, but it finally went. The cabin sale finally closed. They wired the money, and it took a few days, but it finally closed, and we got to the finish line. But like one of our negotiation books, I should have split the difference with the fence, but oh well, we moved forward. But fast forward to the week after, if we could go to the next slide, Ben, that'd be awesome. Reflecting on the deal, I was like, I had to sit down and debrief with myself because there were a lot of peaks and valleys in that. I like to roundtable it. When I have a big issue, I call my friends up and say, hey, at dinner time, leave your cell phones, pages back, whatever, and let's just talk about it. But at those times, who is at the table with you? Who's sitting across? Who's sitting next to you? And are they like-minded? After you do your deep breathing exercise and you're hanging out with those like-minded people, you share your goals, you share your stressors, you share your questions. And then you, for me, I reflect on where am I on this journey? Where am I on this timeline? I like to draw timelines of where I'm supposed to be. And a lot of times the things that happen to us, but like Brandon says, for us. And then you look on the line and you find out, when are you on your timeline? Did this move me forward or did this move me back? And my favorite one is when you look at that rearview mirror, when you truly self-reflect, what's in the rearview mirror? So I finally got fidelity in my rearview mirror. As soon as I got my money out of there, I ended that relationship. And you know what? I want to make a $50,000 mistake now with this company. I know they cannot handle a $500,000 mistake. So I'm not going to work with them in the future. Did this GC work? Yes. So they're going to stay in front of me, but there's other things in my rearview mirror. What some of the old skill sets, some of the laziness, some of the ways I did my numbers are in the rearview mirror. And who else is in the rearview mirror? 2021 Cedric, the older guy. But in the future is 2023 Cedric, 2024, 2030, 2050, hopefully is writing letters to me saying, hey, good job on this, but you know what you could do? You could tweak, reflect on this deal. This is where you could save some money. This is where you could save some time. What tools do you have now? What relationships do you have now? What characteristics, traits, time do you have now? And what don't you have? What can you borrow? Whose credit can you borrow? Whose experience can you borrow? Whose confidence can you borrow? And if you can't move, find other things that you can move. I couldn't move the money, but I can move the timeline. I can move the deadline. That worked out for me. So sometimes getting rid of that bad relationship, that bad deal, or that bad property, putting that in your rearview mirror is huge. The valley looks huge when you're in it, but not so big when it's behind you and you're at top of the mountain looking down at it. Yeah, I kind of rushed through that, blitzed through that, but sorry, next slide for me, Brandon. If you have any questions for me or for all of us to join together, by all means, throw them out there. Yes, Hawaii Central, FCU. That's who I was with. I had a few banks open when I was in Hawaii. It was Hawaii Central. And they just had a lot of weird issues with wiring money. They always had, every time I called, it ended up being a call escalated to the assistant manager, then to the manager, because like wiring is supposed to be instantaneous, but it always ended up taking 2 or 3 days. And one of the ways they had me do it was they literally wrote me a cashier's check and had me walk down to their sister national bank, First Hawaiian, and they wired for me, which was supposed to be instantaneous, but a lot of them put a 2-day, 3-day hold, which is useless if you have a deadline to hit. So not a huge bad mouth to them, but other people's Federal Credit Union, Navy Credit, Federal Credit Union, I've heard people having issues. But so know what you can or cannot do. For me, on one day, I had to sign the purchase agreement at 9 a.m. and the bank didn't open until 11 a.m. So it's like, I need the money there yesterday. So sometimes I just had to keep on pushing that deadline further and further. And luckily I could. That was the solution for me, moving the deadline over and over and over. But a lot of different techniques, a lot of different things that went well, and a lot of things that went poorly, but it all ended up working out in the end. But questions, concerns, or celebrations for me at all?
Yeah, no. I just want to say thank you for sharing, Cedric. And I think you breezed over this thing, and I want to make sure I bring it up again, because like, especially as a new investor, right? You said 15 minutes after you closed on that property, you got news of the fence falling,
Mhm.
and then it came back as a $12,000 bid. So, like, I know that's not your first deal, but let's just say that was your first deal.
Mhm.
You know, like, I mean, what would you suggest for someone who's like, um, how can they prepare for something like that? Is there anything that one can do for something like that? Could you speak to that?
Sure, sure. One of the big things is the home inspection was just the home. They didn't inspect the fence. So I could have, should have had somebody walk the whole thing. And when they showed me pictures of the fence, you could see pallets, you could see patchwork. It's been there for 20, 30 years. And it was just waiting for this windstorm from hell to blow it over, basically. And when that did happen, I had basically three options: just leave it alone, prop it back up with some 2x4s, which they did before, just haul it away and say no fence, or I can go cheaper and go chain link fence, or I could go and replace it with a 5-foot, wooden privacy fence. I ended up choosing the 5-foot privacy fence because it matched the hatch, it matched the neighborhood. And if I was going to sell this property at some point, I needed it to look as good or better than the rest, not less. So if everyone else had a privacy fence, I mean, a beautiful, huge fence for their dog, 1/3 of an acre, that's actually very common in that area. A lot of them are going to be dog livers, and they need that space safe so that their dog doesn't run off and attack or the kids. So I went ahead and did the fence. I knew I was going to be a longer hold with this one, so I was okay with leaving a chunk of money in there, which I basically did. But if you look at it today, let's see. Back then, we were hoping for about a 180, which I'm called ARV, or after repair value. We missed that target by a lot. The bank only recognized the upper square footage, the 783. They didn't recognize the bottom. So they only appraised it at 143, which forced me to leave a lot of money behind. But it's not money lost, it's just money left behind. But I just looked at it today or last night, and right now the Zestimate or the Trulia is up to 188. So that's less than 3 years. That's about $75,000 gain, $78,000 gain in equity, if that's close to accurate. And $78,000 divided by 3 is about $25,000 a year, $26,000 a year. That's something I could do easily in overtime when I was single. Hard when you're a father and a husband. So for me to let the house work for me, even though, oh, Cedric, it's a bad deal, you left so much money behind, it's paying for itself. When I got it at that time, it cash flowed about $100 a month. Oh, whoop-de-doo, $100. But rent went from $1,245 on day one to today it's $1,495. So about 250 raise to me. Again, I'm not using that money. I'm just, usually I throw it right back in, because to me, these are the greenhouses on the Monopoly board. I get 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. I could trade them in for something bigger. That's my goal. And so a lot of times when I buy these little, I call them little, but smaller houses, I like to try to set it and forget it, because I know with the rehab done, there's not much CapEx to do for 5 to 8 years. And in 5 to 8 years, there's a whole lot of debt pay down that the tenant is paying for me. And in 5 to 8 years, there's a whole lot of appreciation. So usually about 5 to 8 years, just like your car, your luxury car that starts to have repairs at 5 and 6 years, same thing with a house. If I'm going to sell it in the 5 to 8 year mark, it seems to be a sweet spot where there's a whole lot of gain, and I didn't have to replace anything, because in the beginning I replaced a whole bunch of stuff. That's my strategy or my plan, my recipe for now with some of these older houses, and it seems to be working for me. But everybody's going to be different, and every tenant's going to be different. They could take your plan and screw you over anyway. So sometimes it doesn't really matter. But I do see a question from Alan. After deploying those funds, how did you fund renovation costs, and how did you get additional funds for your next deal? So good question. So on that second slide where I had those 3 houses that we're selling, the 1031 for Euclid, Linwood, and then the cabin. So a lot of different stokes. I had the HELOC for my apartment in Hawaii, and then I had cash reserves. I was blessed that when I joined the program and before, the big thing was get your house in order. I am still a little bit scatterbrained, disorganized. Look behind me. I like multiple stimulation, but I was blessed that I had different levers to pull. If this didn't work, I'm going to sell this. If this didn't work, I'm going to sell this. And the main takeaway from there for me is the more options I have, the more creative I could be. And if you go backwards 3, 4, 5 years, action creates options. You know, a lot of people are like, why are you buying these $40,000, $50,000 houses in Indianapolis? They're so little, they don't make much. But it's those steps where I learned how to crunch my numbers, repair things, create relationships, lose relationships, fire people to turn to exchange to something bigger, to the next and to the next. So, you know, sometimes the numbers don't work, but sometimes the tuition is paid in different ways. Moved on from 3 property managers in 1 year, moved on from 1 portfolio from Indianapolis into Kansas City. I think the max I had was about 13, 14 doors at one point. And then I sold a whole bunch and went into my first commercial. And CJ asked me the question once, what's the difference between 100 homes making 10K a month for you or 1 property making 10K a month for you? It's like cash flow, it's the same, but a whole lot less headaches. So it wasn't something that I could accept, receive, and digest at the time, but now I'm kind of seeing it. If I could set this and forget it, even if I left behind money, it's not lost money, it's just sitting in the house. When the market tells me it's time to sell, or if something happens, or if I have a beautiful deal from Gilbert that I can't turn down, it's like, well, then this is just a piece on the chessboard. I'm going to sacrifice this pawn because it gets me the queen. My goal is this. Does this move my needle? Does this move me closer? Actions create options. And if I don't buy the house, I don't do it, I'll be absolutely right. I didn't lose money. I didn't do that. Just like your friends, your auntie, uncle, oh, you shouldn't do that. Just work harder, get overtime. They're going to be absolutely right. But it's not quite in alignment with your goals, your future, with what you want to do. What if those problems were wrong? And what if it went very well for you? You never know until you do. So again, actions create options. So I'm a big proponent of making mistakes of ambition rather than mistakes of sloth, because they'll always be right if we say stay in your W-2 and just keep on working overtime. And we could do that. I even told my wife that that's our, if I suck at this game, if I do horrible, the worst thing that happens is we retire as nurses. That's the worst possible situation. Not bad, because that was the original plan. Now we have bigger, better goals, and we're trying to crush those goals. And these houses are, to me, the stepping stones for us to get there. But I hope I answered that question for you. Vicky, all right. How did you keep moving forward after all that stress? Oh my gosh, we could do a topic on just that. Were you scared that you would lose the PML money? So a big thing about this community, if you haven't joined, is any private money loan, lend, borrowed or lent. We're very big on pay them back no matter what you got to do. And luckily, I was blessed in a place and in a space where if I needed to, I could offload this, I could offload that. If I have to shoot my foot, I'll shoot my foot. But we're going to pay people back. And that was huge for me, because when that fidelity was frozen, I mean, the stress was so freaking real. I started work 11A to 7P. That means business hours from 7A to 10P or 10A. For 3-4 hours, I was on the phone with Fidelity on hold. And I know they were just playing the game. They're just putting me on hold for hours on end. I was not in a good space at all. And when I was talking about the breathing exercises, I was being very real, because I was like cursing up a storm. Anybody that cut me off on the freeway, I was like looking for a reason to do something stupid. And I was doing breathing exercises on the way to work. After 4 hours on hold, I have to go to work, very stressful ER environment. Some of you know my story. I left the ER, finally went to PACU. But right when I finally calmed down after 5 to 10 minutes of breathing exercises, I looked up at the car in front of me, and a rock flew up and hit my windshield and cracked it. I was like, really? It's like, really? What are you trying to tell me? But I think God was telling you, no matter what, I know you could handle a little bit more. It's like, that's just great. Thanks, God. But it all worked out. And I got to tell you, the stress question, it is absolutely real. We do need to deal with those things. And being in a community like this is huge. And Vicky, thank you for the question. Vicky and I sometimes, she lives close to me. We've worked together in Hawaii and here. We've hosted these little gatherings, and we could bring the horse to the water. We can't force the horse to drink. We have a lot of people that come to the house to talk about this stuff. And And looking at the board right now, I don't think any of them here are present. They want to, but so kudos to all of you for being here. I hope you found something, even a little bit of a nugget, a little bit of light for your journey, because again, action creates options. Do something, step in poo and make that mistake, because hopefully you won't make it again in 2023, because there's only so many days left. And hopefully the 2024 version of Robin Fisher, Joshua DeGracia, Judy Tung, the future version of you will thank you that you took action, that you came here, and that you gained something from being here today. Because as Henry Ford says, if you think you can or you think you cannot, you are absolutely right. So be very careful in choosing your words, careful in what company you keep and who you listen to, because those words create energy, positive or negative. I'm becoming a very firm believer in that. But sorry, man, I could keep on talking, Brandon. I got to pass you the mic, otherwise I'll keep on going.
No, no, that was really good. That was really good. And actually, we'll circle back to you before we wrap things up. So I think this is a good time to kind of shift into another segment on this call. Then we'll get back to you, Cedric. But
Sure.
yeah, so we're going to shift into what we call our investor spotlight. And this is the part of the call where we get to highlight an up and coming rising investor who's making moves in their investing journey. And tonight, we have the privilege of hearing from someone that is doing just that. She's making moves. She is going after her goals. She's doing a lot of cool things. So if you could, I'd like to bring on our investor for the evening, or our spotlight investor for the evening, Laura Renteria. She is fun, intuitive, and very inspirational. And I'd like to bring her on. So Laura, welcome to Westside Meetup.
Thank you, Brandon. Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Laura Renteria. And just a little bit about myself. I'm active duty Army, actually. And how I got started in real estate was I got stationed in Hawaii in 2019. And that's when I used my VA loan to buy my condo here. And that's when I got introduced to the possibilities and how beautiful real estate is. I was like, wow, you can do this. And I had a great real estate agent and lender too, who taught me, you know, a whole bunch of extra stuff that they probably didn't need to, but they really opened up my eyes. And so with that being said, though, I went into analysis paralysis for like the next 2 to 3 years, unfortunately. I was reading books, I was listening to podcasts, I was on Bigger Pockets, but what was I missing? I was taking no action, and that's like the meat of it, right? So yeah, so unfortunately that went on. And then this year I actually finally decided to do something, and I joined a group to do wholesaling, actually. And it did not go as planned, and that is fine, because when something doesn't go as planned, you just pivot. And that's when I was like, okay, I know WNN is to invest in Kansas City, and actually I am from Kansas City. I was born and raised in Kansas City. So I was like, this is perfect. And so I joined WNN, and honestly, it has been amazing. Like I've been in for 5 months now. And in those 5 months, I have been able to acquire my first BRRRR property in Kansas City, Kansas. Right now they're doing renovations and they're almost done. So then I'll be renting it out, and I am under contract for 3 duplexes right now. And it looks like they're going to go through, negotiations are over, and looks like we're going to go through. So then, yeah, that's within 5 months. And it's funny because my 1-year goal was to get 5 doors in a year. And here we are now. So now, and that's the power of being around people who are further along with you, right? Community really is everything, because my circle was this big. I'm like, 5 doors in a year, that's a lot. But now that I'm surrounded around all these amazing investors and inspirational investors, they really opened up my horizons. And that's why I really, really believe in mentorships, like 100%. And I actually did the one-on-one, because as I mentioned earlier, I tried to do wholesaling with another mentorship group, but it was a group one. And for me, I think the one-on-one really hits home, because it's, you know, it's specifically for you, and it really helps you, you know, like freaking springboard all that much more. So, so yeah, so now here we are. And that's my journey thus far. You know, I'm new, but I'm really, really excited to be here and to be part of WNN. I'm really, really forever grateful. That's it.
Yeah, no, you're doing awesome. You're doing great. and very inspirational, right? In 5 months, you were able to create this result. And I know you're not stopping yet. So what's next for you? After these 3 duplexes, you're confident you're going to close on them. What's for you and what's in store for you for 2024?
Okay, so these 3 duplexes are actually financed. And like I mentioned, I am in the Army, so I wanted to leverage my W-2. That's why I decided to do that strategy. But now for this 2024, I am pivoting to going really heavy on the BRRRRs with PMO, with private money, really going heavy on that, and just going crazy with the BRRRRs. And my overall goal is to get into commercial in 2 to 3 years. So then, like Cedric said, I'm gonna get my little get rid houses and then 1031 exchange into a hotel.
Very nice. Well, I'm excited for you. Right on.
Thanks, Brandon.
So if anybody wants to connect with you, what's the best way that they can contact you?
I'm on Instagram, Renteria Laura _. I'm on Facebook, Laura Renteria. You can text me, call me. I'll put my phone number on here, honestly. I love to talk.
Okay,
So
yeah.
if you want to talk, let's do it.
Very nice. All right. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Laura Renteria. She's going to give us her contact info in the chat. Feel free to connect with her. And as a quick reminder too, the roster link is in the chat too. If you came on late, maybe you didn't get it, so I'll post it later, but you can connect with her and everybody else that's on the call. If you go and fill out that roster and put in your information. Perfect. Thank you, Laura. All righty. Well, thank you very much, Laura, for sharing your journey with us. And like I said, I'm excited for your growth and looking forward to what's next for you. So thank you. All right. So I'm going to circle back to Cedric. And, we're talking about peaks and valleys, right? And Cedric mentioned a lot about mindset and dealing with stress and getting through those valleys. So if you guys have any questions, post them in the chat for Cedric. And while you guys do that, I want to ask you, Cedric, like, what is it that helped you with the mindset stuff, like the non-real estate related things that happen to be very present in your real estate journey? What helped you develop this?
Sorry, break that down a little bit for me. Dumb it down for me.
So you mentioned a lot of like quotes, and just me being around you, you mentioned a lot of inspirational, motivational quotes. So like, how did you develop that type of a mindset to help you get through the valleys?
Ooh, now you're getting a little psychiatric on me. I got to break it out for you. But I've been asked that before, and I've asked myself that before. And the thing that I come up with that I think is accurate is, honestly, I'm the product of migrant parents that came from the Philippines, that, their parents were pretty much farmers, not much education at all. So there's always been that grit that was there. And my mom, God bless her, she was the one that raised her kids that with that expectation, but also that you'll never meet it, like never good enough. Like I was the dumb kid in my family. I was the last one to get straight A's. And I showed my mom my report card. I can think it was 6th grade or 7th grade, because I couldn't do it in 1st grade and 2nd grade. But she said, that's good, but next time, can we get rid of the minuses? I was like, oh my God. So, however you want to take that, the way I take it now is that is where I am finding my unquenchable desire to always do more, be better, this or this or that. That's where I find I'm never done. But I have to also give myself grace, because it's very hard to never be done or never be satisfied. So sometimes I really have to stop and pause and say, you know what? Worst case scenario, I work as a nurse. Worst case scenario, I know that we're going to sleep in a warm bed tonight. I know that my kids are going to go to private school and they're going to have food on the table and whatnot. There's things that I don't have to worry about, even though I want more, I want more, I want more. But I think that drive probably came from that. And I'm okay with it, because I still enjoy trying to get 1% better every day, because 1% better at the end of a year, even if I take some days off, 300% better at the end of the year is pretty darn impressive, right? 1% better every week, 52% better by the end of the year, still pretty impressive. 1% per month, 12% at the end of the year, still not a bad year, that kind of deal. So I hope I answered that question, but I see a question that I want to answer for Alan. You pivoted from Indy to KC. Brandon, sorry, are you complete? Did I answer your question?
No, yeah, I can save it for afterwards. It was more about resources that you could suggest. Well, let's get to Alan's question.
Okay, sure. You pivoted from Indy to KC and you also invest there. What do folks like about KC? Oh, good question. I like this question. So when I turned that light bulb on, another story, when I turned that light bulb on and said, I'm going to join the REI community and whatnot, I was going to every single club in Oahu that I could find, every single meetup. And I told myself in, I think it was 2017, 2018, I was like, whatever happens, I'm going to drink the punch. I'm going to jump on the spaceship. I'm going to do whatever they say to do. If I feel like it, it makes sense. And I joined the one in Pearl City. It was called Hirei, Hawaii Real Estate Investing. And they're gone now. He's moved on to some other place, but it was all about Indianapolis. And I was all about it. I loved it. So I did that. And then right before I paid for mentorship, I had a nice long conversation with CJ and it just clicked. So I said, you know what, I'm going to join WNN. I joined them all, but as far as mentorship goes, I joined that one. And that's when I 1031. In 1 year, I made a blistering year, 5 duplexes, a single family in Indianapolis. But that's also the same year where I fired 3 property managers. And good market, good product, good properties. But you could lose money to the tenant. You could lose money to the GC. You could lose money to the property manager or whatnot. And what I found was I don't have an allegiance to a city. I have allegiance to people, to a good team. And if we have that already here, vetted property managers, vetted GCs, vetted this or that, then it's like, I have no allegiance to the city. KC is just another metro area that has 3 or 4 or 5 Fortune 500 companies, just like most cities in the Midwest. So as long as the demographics support, more importantly, as long as the team is there to support, then that's where I'll put my investments. That's where I'm going to buy them. And so far, so good, because you can make an argument for almost any major city, but I challenge you, you go to Bigger Pockets, they'll give you top 5, top 10 cities in the US to invest in. But if you have to find your GC, your plumber, your electrician, your insurance guy, then you'll probably lose just as much trying to establish the team. So I found that people were more important. It's a relationship business. So that was huge for me. So I'm moving forward with that. Yeah, Hirei was awesome. Mike Arrieta is awesome too. Get to know him as well if you need any lending needs there. But sorry, Brandon, circling back to you, you said what resources did I have as far as
yeah, like if you could suggest like a book that really shifted your perspective, or was it something else that wasn't a book, like going to a meetup and talking to somebody? Like, what is it that somebody that can take from your journey and apply into their own life to help build up that mindset?
Yeah, honestly, it was probably coaching, because when I started having accountability partners, that was huge. And I'm a big proponent. I paid a lot, like most of us here, we probably paid a lot for education. And but before when I was kicking tires at every single club, I would exchange numbers and emails with everybody. And I don't know if Jordan's in here, but yeah, Jordan's here. Jordan Shibata. We had a bromance way in the beginning, way before our portfolio started. We were meeting at Starbucks once a month, once a quarter, and we're like, "What are you working on?" Blah blah blah. We became each other's accountability partners. We knew each other's 1, 3, 5, 10-year goals, and we're like, "Hey, we got to figure this out. Like, how are we going to do this?" And we went to different groups and different clubs and whatnot, and I think it started there. I mean, I invited people to my house. We had dinners at my place. And like-minded but not accomplished. Like-minded but not accomplished. We all wanted the same thing, but we didn't know how to get there. But talking over at dinner, somebody always knew somebody, and it just evolved from there. I love the roundtable thing. It's not a fake thing. It's a real thing. When I have an issue, I like to call 5, 6 people together and say, let's talk about it, because someone here has the solution. Someone here has the relationship or has had the exposure to something that we can solve here. And it literally doesn't have to be REI. It's so many things play in the decision making, the emotions, the highs, the peaks, and the valleys, the stresses, what you have available now, and what is going to happen to you in the future. Braces, a divorce, a college kid, a wedding. There's so many factors that should play in your decision making, but a lot of times we just go black and white. It's just good deal, bad deal. But there's so many other things that should affect your decision making, and it truly is your journey that affects what you should do for you, because there's no carbon copy for everybody. So I guess the short answer would be finding people even if it is just find your bromance, find your Jordan to have coffee with or whatever, and just talk things over, and then it will evolve. And there are books out there. I mean, Rich Dad Poor Dad is probably the #1 book for you ask any investor. That's probably the first book most people say that lit the light bulb for them, because the W2 mind shift, the Industrial Revolution, everything. We came from, I could speak for my family, my lineage came from work harder, not smarter. We were blessed to be able to go to college, but the answer again was, you want to get faster, further, then work more overtime, get promoted. It wasn't about investing. My dad came to the States, and I think he was 45, 50 before he even heard the word 401k. Nobody told him what that was, so he never invested in that. Because again, the culture is your kids are your 401k. Your kids take care of you. But growing up in America, I'm like, well, you did what? I'm supposed to do what for you? Like there's huge cultural differences and cultural shifts, but there's also a financial culture that doesn't get passed down in some families. Some families are born with silver spoons, but some families are born with blindfolds financially. So there's so much. We could talk about every topic for hours on end, so I'll stop right there because I can talk. Sorry.
No, that was good. That was good. You mentioned it earlier on the call too, around who you surround yourself with, making certain that they're going to be supportive of you, similar mindset, right? And maybe even a step or two ahead of you.
Yes.
That way they can help pull you up. So on that note, I did drop the link to the roster in the chat. If you haven't had a chance already, that's a great opportunity to go ahead and connect with folks on the call, because while we're going to be jumping into breakout rooms to network with each other, we're only going to be in groups of 5 or so. You know what I mean? So definitely leverage a roster and connect with more folks on there. As we wrap up this portion of the call, you shared a bunch of nuggets, Cedric. And I also want to give you one last opportunity to share something, whether I know we had a little bit more on your slides to go over, but if there's something that you want to share with the group and leave us with, what would that be?
There's so many different quotes in my mind right now. One of my favorites is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That's huge. And right after that one, I'd probably say, walk slowly, but never backwards. If you have to walk slowly, but don't go backwards. Look forward, because you're not going that way. You know where you've been. So move forward, looking forward. And like you mentioned, if I want to know what Donnie Ito is going to accomplish in his lifetime, then I just need to look at his Facebook and look for the 5 friends that he spends the most time with. You average up their W-2s, and that's what he's going to accomplish in life, statistically speaking. So it is huge who you spend your time with. Like you said, if they have similar mindsets that they want to grow and do something else, then it's not that we're going to leave certain relationships behind, but we are going to focus on other relationships, because if we want to do more, we have to do different. Because one of Brandon's quotes that I love is, what got you here isn't going to get you there. It's time to change to do something else. Yeah.
Yep. Very good. Very good.
Good.
All right. If anybody wants to connect with you, what's the best way to get in touch?
I'm kind of old school, so myspace.com. No, just kidding. It was like, what the hell? Facebook works. Facebook works, or through the, what you call it. I could put my email in here as well.
Okay.
Surprised some of you remember what that was.
Right on. All right. So thank you again, Cedric. And don't worry, we're gonna be seeing Cedric, more often here. So he'll be sticking around on other future calls. But thank you for your time here tonight and sharing your journey and walking us through the peaks and the valleys of that deal that you walked us through. So thank you very much. All righty. So now that we've concluded the presentation portion, I guess, if you will, of our call, we're going to be shifting into our networking portion. And before we did, I just wanted to remind everybody again of the roster that's in the chat. You can go ahead and fill that out so that you can connect with other folks that are here on the call. And then also, if you're not already in our Facebook group or on our email list, you can go ahead and join us there. The links are in the chat. And then also the networking event that's happening on Oahu next week, Tuesday at 5 p.m. That's the blue collar event. You can go ahead, register there. That's the link. And then if you are wanting to start out-of-state investing, you're brand new, not too sure exactly how to get started or needs the tactical steps to get going, we have a boot camp with WNN happening next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So you can go ahead and check out that link in the chat as well. Alrighty. Okay, so we're going to jump into networking breakout rooms, and we'll be in there for, I believe, 25 minutes. And what these groups are is like just small groups of, I don't know, 5, 6, or 7 of us or so. And what we'll be doing in there is basically going over 3 things. So sharing our name, who we are, what we do in real estate, and with it being holidays time and end of the year, why don't we go with like a big win that we had in the last 11 months? Because as a reminder, we're not going to be meeting next month. So this is going to be our last call for the year, actually. So why don't we just share that? What was our win for the year? And let's try to encourage one another and be there for support. So who you are in real estate, who you are, what you do in real estate, and then a big win for the year. All right. So we'll do that for 25 minutes. Then we'll hop back into this large room. We'll open it up for a couple minutes, and then we'll just get everybody out by 7:30 Hawaii time. What is that? 9:30 Pacific. All right. Okay. So I will see you guys in the breakouts and then back here.